Hear, hear. Hear.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. It is always an honour to rise in this House to speak on behalf of the residents of Saskatoon, Churchill-Wildwood. I am humbled by the opportunity to represent and advocate on behalf of my constituents, and I remain grateful for the trust that they continue to place in me to be their voice here in this Legislative Assembly. I would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we are located is Treaty 4 territory and the homeland of the Métis Nation. I make this acknowledgement to demonstrate my personal commitment to reconciliation, to pay respect to the First Nations and Métis ancestors of this land, and to recognize their histories, culture, and contributions to our province. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I recently had the opportunity to pass on my deepest condolences to the Chiefs of James Smith Cree Nation in person, Chief Calvin Sanderson, Chief Wally Burns, and Chief Robert Head, over the September 4th tragedy that left 11 people dead and another 18 wounded. The unprovoked attack that occurred on James Smith Cree Nation and the nearby community of Weldon was among one of our country's deadliest mass murders. And what we heard from the chiefs and councils that day is it will take a long time for the community to heal. First Nations are a resilient people, and the members of James Smith have shown that resilience and that strength and have come together as a community to deal with the grief, despair, and trauma of such a horrific loss. As I read the funeral programs of many of the deceased, it brought to the forefront the suffering in the community and all the lives that are affected. The leadership of James Smith Cree Nation does not want to leave behind any of their community who are suffering. Vice Chief Alvin Mustu said in an interview, and I quote, "Right now we're knocked down, but we will get back up, and we'll get back up with pride when our community comes together," end quote. Our thoughts and prayers remain with James Smith Cree Nation. We will be there for you. I would also like to offer my condolences and pay tribute to the late Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II after her passing on September 8th. She lived a life of dedicated service with grace and dignity and was admired as a role model for diplomacy and international relations. Her Majesty had such love and dedication to the welfare of her people. As our longest-serving monarch and the head of the Commonwealth, she provided a steady hand and reassuring presence. I would like to share part of the statement from the Speaker of the House of Commons of the United Kingdom, the Right Honourable Sir Lindsay Hoyle. Quote, "For all of us, the Queen has been a constant presence in our lives, as familiar as a member of the family, yet one who has exercised a calm and steadying influence over our country. During her 70 years on the throne, she has given our lives a sense of equilibrium. While her reign has been marked by dramatic changes in the world, Her Majesty has maintained her unwavering devotion to the United Kingdom, the British Overseas Territories, and the Commonwealth of Nations, and her gentle authority and sound reason have been felt throughout," end quote. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, to another topic that has consumed our attention for the past many months, and rightly so, the war in Ukraine. It has been 8 months that the country of Ukraine has withstood the unprovoked attack from Russia that has resulted in thousands of deaths and injuries. I would like to refer to a recent pastoral letter from the Ukrainian Right Catholic Bishops of Canada. Quote, "The war in Ukraine rages on with no end in sight, claiming the lives of thousands of innocent children, men and women, with millions more on the move as refugees in search of safety, food, shelter, clothing and medicine, in addition to the destruction of countless homes, schools, hospitals and businesses. Ukraine and its people are in crisis. Like the Holodomor genocide or the Ukrainian famine of 1932-33, which claimed the lives of millions of people in Ukraine when the Soviet Union deliberately and methodically starved as many as 1/4 of the Ukrainian population. Today's war in Ukraine by foreign aggressors has as its intent to erase the identity and history of the Ukrainian people. These are not easy times. The entire world is ill at ease," end quote. According to the latest update from the United Nations Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, there have been over 6,000 killed and over 9,000 injured, that include hundreds of children. There are now more than 7 million Ukrainians displaced. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Ukrainian people have demonstrated fierce resolve in defending their homeland from this brutal aggression and a history of oppression. Ukrainians from around the world and across our country and our province are continuing to stand with Ukraine. More than 13% of this province have Ukrainian ancestry, including my mother-in-law, Kathy Lambert. Saskatchewan has welcomed more than 2,000 displaced Ukrainians who have been forced to flee their country. This government, our people of the province, and the business community have stepped up with financial donations, housing, job offers since the conflict began. Let us all pray for an end to the war in Ukraine. The James Smith Cree Nation tragedy, the passing of Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, the war on Ukraine, heartbreaking events that weigh heavily on us, but they are a part of our reality that must be faced and overcome. I want to take a moment, Mr. Deputy Speaker, to thank some of the people in my life who make it possible for me to perform my duties as an MLA. I have been gifted with 2 constituency assistants who job share and represent me well in my constituency office. Candace Forrester and Betty Weller are professional, efficient, patient, knowledgeable, and empathetic, and I am grateful for their dedicated service. My husband, Jim, and I celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary this summer with our 3 adult daughters, 2 sons-in-law, and 5 grandchildren. You don't reach that anniversary without a good deal of commitment, challenges, learning, growing, and compromise. The support I receive from Jim is so appreciated, both inside and outside of this legislature. I would like to turn my remarks now to some of the highlights of our government's ambitious throne speech. The COVID-19 pandemic has played a major role in the current high level of inflation we are facing. We are dealing with supply chain shortages as well as labour shortages that hinder consumer demand, where the demand is greater than the supply and raises the value of goods and services. Our government has launched a 4-point affordability plan using higher resource revenues to help people address rising costs due to inflation, while also reducing the province's debt. All Saskatchewan residents who are 18 years of age or older will receive that $500 affordability tax credit check this fall. We are removing fitness and gym memberships and some recreational activities from the planned October PST changes. We are also extending the small business tax reduction rate. It will temporarily remain at 0% retroactive to July 1st. This will help the approximately 31,000 small businesses in Saskatchewan continue to recover from the pandemic. Lastly, we are retiring up to $1 billion in operating debt, saving an estimated $49 million in interest costs, and allowing us to invest more right here in this province. Helping Saskatchewan people through a time of higher costs while retiring debt strikes the right balance and helps our province move forward. That is growth that works for everyone. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I have the good fortune of representing a high density of older adults in my constituency. In fact, the highest in the province. There are a number of retirement residences and senior preferred multi-unit buildings in my riding. For the second year in a row, the maximum monthly benefit provided through the Seniors Income Plan increased by $30 per month, and there is another $30 per month plan for the coming fiscal year. SIP provides financial assistance to seniors who receive little or no income, other than the federal old age security pension and the guaranteed income supplement. Since our last provincial budget, the Government of Saskatchewan is partnering with the Saskatchewan Seniors Mechanism and the Saskatoon Council on Aging to administer a $250,000 grant program to support seniors' independence in the community. Another area of focus for seniors, and frankly all residents of the province, is the importance of reliable, high-quality health care. This government has recently introduced the Health Human Resource Action Plan. The plan is already showing promising progress, as the Saskatchewan Health Authority has received over 3,500 applications for healthcare positions from the Philippines and nearly 400 applications from unlicensed internationally educated professionals who live in Canada or in our province, and they may qualify for future training or employment right here. 4 new health system navigators will start this month to assist in the recruitment and retention of internationally educated healthcare workers and help them settle in our province. Saskatchewan will become the first province in the country to introduce an accelerated training, assessment and licensing process for internationally educated nurses. The first group of candidates will begin online training this fall. And last month, we added 150 nursing seats to the registered nursing, registered psychiatric nursing, and nurse practitioner education programs to increase training opportunities here. As we work to recruit health staff from around the world with a goal of adding over 1,000 healthcare professionals to our health system, this plan will also retain and incentivize physicians in rural or remote areas. We're also working towards meeting a target of 97,000 surgeries in this fiscal year. That will represent the highest number of surgeries ever performed in one year. And we will work with public hospitals and establish new partnerships with publicly funded private surgical providers to achieve our ambitious goal. Residents of Saskatoon can look forward to a new urgent care centre. The Government of Saskatchewan and the Takakuk Cree developments have signed a memorandum of understanding to offer Saskatoon and area residents an alternative to emergency departments for illnesses and injuries that are not life-threatening, as well as mental health supports, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The Saskatoon Urgent Care Centre is one of two centres announced as part of this government's $7.5 billion capital plan to stimulate the province's economic recovery from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. As we honour our commitment to truth and reconciliation, our government was pleased to install new road signs to mark the Treaty 4 and Treaty 6 boundary near Bladworth on Highway 11. The signs are a first for Canada, and officially marking the treaty boundary complements treaty education in our province. They will serve as a reminder of the importance of treaties, encourage treaty conversations, and move us forward on the shared journey to reconciliation. In an effort to support the revitalization of First Nations and Métis culture, we have recently announced that Dakota language is being added to the growing list of secondary level Indigenous language courses. Our government has also provided up to $255,000 to the First Nations University of Canada to deliver the Dene Teacher Education Program. As a member of Métis Nation Saskatchewan, there is much work to do, but the future holds promise for reconciliation. I was pleased to have the opportunity to take part in the pipe ceremony that opened this legislative session. Another step on the path to reconciliation is that feedback received for the First Nation and Métis consultation policy framework will help to inform revisions to the government's policy on the duty to consult with Indigenous communities. I appreciated the words spoken by the member from Athabasca last Thursday, quote, "But let our future be of hope, opportunity, forgiveness, and strength, because that is the kind of people we are in Saskatchewan, all of us in Saskatchewan. And when we work in partnership and we work together, what we're able to accomplish is unfolding before our eyes. And let's not lose sight of that," end quote. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Saskatoon's economy is leading the nation. The Conference Board of Canada is forecasting that the Saskatoon economy will grow by 7.2% this year and 3.9% in 2023, outpacing all other major cities in Canada. This growth will be fueled in part by potash, uranium, and the energy sector. Srita CEO Alex Fallon says, quote, "The Saskatoon economy is growing even at a time when Canadian and many international economies are slowing. Saskatoon has a specific set of strengths that makes for a strong, diversified, and growing economy," end quote. Paul Martin of Martin Charlton Communications wrote an article in the spring 2022 edition of We Build that was titled "Time to Think: Saskatchewan's Innovation Secret." He wrote about Saskatoon-based International Road Dynamics, one of the mainstays of Saskatchewan's tech sector, a tech sector sometimes referred to as Silicon Prairie. Other players in that Silicon Prairie are Vandasta, SED Systems, 7 Shifts, Coconut Calendar, and the list goes on and on. These firms are busy building international reputations when it comes to innovation and technology. But what was most interesting was Paul's explanation for the advantage we have here when it comes to innovation, creativity, and brain power to solve the world's problems. He identified that advantage as dryland farming. Quote, "With only 1 million people, Saskatchewan must compete with brains rather than sheer brawn. It means that even though we have a small domestic or local consumer market, we are extremely productive, so our output must find a home with buyers outside of our borders. Canada relies more heavily on trade than any other Western nation, and within Canada, one province, Saskatchewan, does more trade than any other. With 70% of our overall economic activity related to trade, it can be argued rather forcefully that the world's most successful global traders reside here in Saskatchewan." End quote. Mr. Deputy Speaker, that's why it is so important for this government to explore international opportunities. Saskatchewan is one of the world's top exporters. This government operates international trade offices in China, India, Mexico, Singapore, the United Arab Emirates, the United Kingdom, Vietnam, and Japan. And another international office will open in Germany in the coming months. Trade offices and trade missions bear trade fruit. These offices act as a hub for economic development and expansion for our province. They connect international companies and investors to opportunities in our province's agriculture, mining, and energy sectors, as Saskatchewan continues to offer the food, fuel, and fertilizer that the world needs. As noted in the fall 2022 edition of Global Ventures magazine, I quote, "This global network is a key part of the province's aggressive international engagement strategy to keep Saskatchewan's economy growing strong and to reach the 2030 growth plan targets." End quote. One of the many ways we keep our economy growing is to welcome immigrants from across the world to a better life right here in our province. According to the 2021 census, 12.5% of our population were immigrants, and is the highest proportion of immigrants added to our provincial population on a census. According to Whitney Jacobson with Statistics Canada, quote, "We project that within the coming years, immigrants will make up more and more of the population in Canada and Saskatchewan," end quote. 1/3 of the present immigrants arrived here from 2016 to 2021. To address the growth in immigration, we need more autonomy and more flexibility, and this government will move ahead with the Saskatchewan-Canada Immigration Accord. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I recently read a quote in the Reader's Digest magazine by Tommy Douglas, former NDP Premier of Saskatchewan. Quote, "Canada is like an old cow. The West feeds it, Ontario and Quebec milk it, and you can well imagine what it's doing in the Maritimes." End quote. Well, it looks like things haven't changed too much in 7 decades. There are federal government policies that are damaging to our province, and we will defend and protect our economic future. We want a stronger Saskatchewan in a stronger Confederation. It's time to milk the old cow we feed, and we will share that abundance, that growth, with everyone in this province. I'd like to end today with words that were written in a column by my good friend Rod Andrews, retired Anglican Bishop of Saskatoon, in the Country Guide, April 2022 edition. Quote, "There are moments in each of our lives, things that happen, people we meet, places we go, that we remember. Some of those experiences define forever who we are. At the time, they may seem strange, and we wonder what they are all about. It is as if a wind starts to blow, and we feel the touch on ourselves from somewhere else. There are other moments in our lives that cripple and break our spirits, loss of a job, sickness, divorce, death. We are tempted to say, that's it, I can never be the same again. Possibly, but the good news is there are other moments that, if we seize the opportunity, have the power to lift us up from despair to hope and possibility." End quote. Mr. Deputy Speaker, may we choose those moments that will lift us up, where hope and possibility prevail. As Saskatchewan stands poised to lead the nation in economic growth this year and next, and with the lowest unemployment rate in the country, we have much to celebrate and be grateful for. At a time of uncertainty and unease in our world, Saskatchewan will step up and continue to deliver what the world needs. May God continue to bless Saskatchewan. I will be supporting the motion moved by the member from Wallshakers and seconded by the member from Athabasca. I will not be supporting the amendment. Thank you.